Okay, everyone. I'm Corey Whitney. I'm going to be speaking with you now about the next big project we have in store for you, which is for you to give your presentations. I'm sure you're all very excited. We are certainly excited to see them, and I'm looking forward to watching you present these things. And I have just a few tips for you, some things that I think might be helpful when you are putting these together and when you're presenting, but also when you're preparing to present. So this is a talk on giving presentations. I'm going to give you a few different considerations that you should think about. Some different types of issues around logistics, some styles and tips that I think will be useful. So first of all, the logistics, it's going to be 15 minutes per group on the 14th of July. So that's important to know. You can choose your own style for the presentation. Use that 15 minutes how you like. That's it. That's the end of my talk. No, I'm kidding. There's more. So a few tips here. Here's an example of how I think it's a good way to manage your timeline and content. So you're going to start somewhere, and a good way to start is with the title and maybe an outline. So tell us what this presentation will be about. The next step may be to move toward the middle of your presentation. That is to say, again, introducing us a bit here. Why are you presenting? Give us a bit of an introduction. Give us some of the methods and results. So your main tools and findings. And then make sure that you give us some take-home messages, those conclusions, the things that you want us to know. I call this the what, so what, and now what of a presentation. These three parts make a story whole, I think. And you can, of course, switch these around in any way that you like. So you can be inventive and begin at the end. A lot of people like to just tell the take-home messages right at the top. Even in the title, that's fine, maybe even preferable, but it's all about taste. But I do like a story to have these parts. It is, for me, quite satisfying if they do. My recommendation for your presentation is that you do not procrastinate. Don't wait to build your presentation and really to go through it and to present it. Finish your presentation quite early. Practice your presentation a lot. Use an audience of friends if you can. Use your webcam. So go ahead and record yourself and then watch that recording. See how it is. See if you like it. Try it again. You don't want to end up in a situation where you wish that you weren't about to present tomorrow and you're still putting your slides together. A lot of us end up there because we go to conference after conference in this time of year. Especially, that's not happening now, but we're often on the road working in the airplane on the way to the place where we're going to present, but it's not ideal. And it's good if you start now having a good practice of finishing early, being prepared. What you may find is that if you do not prepare ahead of time, you will get on the stage and not really feel like you're ready to present. You may even forget what it is that you wanted to say. And we'll hear a lot of ums and ahs as you ponder over the slide content. But try not to do that. Try to keep your audience engaged. Try to make them excited about the thing you're excited about presenting. So make it snappy. Make it really concrete. Make it clear what it is that you're trying to say. And it's a bit harder to do now in times of Zoom, or in times of social distancing. We can't all be together. We're going to probably be doing this over Zoom. So. But do try to look at us and to look at the camera, make sure you're engaging with us somewhat. If you're bored, then we will also be bored. That's a general rule. If I'm bored while I'm giving a presentation, I can expect for my audience to be bored as well. So try to be focused in your presentation. Know your topic. That, of course, you definitely will because you've been working on it all semester with us. Get the main points across really early and re-emphasize. Make sure we know what it is that you want us to learn. And prepare for an active question and answer session. So try to set us up with some questions that or some things that you'd like to discuss, that you'd like us to engage with you about. Unfortunately, if you have a clear message, then a presentation can go well, but if you don't, it can be quite drawn out and quite difficult to watch. But let's not put each other in that situation, and let's make it interesting. Because we won't be together, you can't use the sprinkler system method, but also we wouldn't have allowed you to do that in the first place. So you're going to have to keep us awake by giving an interesting presentation. So a few guides and resources, and actually, why don't you use that great resource that we have, which is of course the Hive Mind, the internet. You can look around for different types of experiences and different presentation styles. I'm using, for this particular presentation, I am using the slide deck options where you can build, it's like PowerPoint, but in Google Slides. And they have a template in there where they talk about how to give a presentation that sticks. So that's something you may look at, but there are many others. One that's excellent is from Princeton. They have a resource on how to give a good presentation. What I like to do is to watch great presentations. I like to watch people who give really good presentations. I take notes on what they say, how they say it, and I try to adopt methods that I like. I try to learn things from those presenters. TED is, if you don't already know about TED, I'm very excited for you because you get to learn about it for the first time. TED is a fantastic resource. The leading experts in their fields are asked to give very brief presentations on the main content of their work. It's brilliant. So look around there, see if there's something that you like. You can also check out some of the work from the Max Planck Institute. I really like the presentations that they give. I'll give you one example here, but there are many. Engage your audience, but look for tips. Look for good examples. That's always a nice source. So I'm going to give you a few suggestions about style. As I said, you can choose your own style. We're not forcing anything on you, but a few things that are important is that if you're going to be using slides, make sure that your fonts and font sizes are readable. That's critical. If it's too small, we won't be able to see. You'll lose us. Also, make sure that you provide appropriate links or sources on your slides for anything that you've provided. And it's really nice for us if you can provide slide numbers, because maybe we'll be making notes and we'll want to talk to you about certain slides. So make sure those things are included. As you play around with the layout of your slide, think about this. Because this is how I read this. I think most people do, really. You read this first, then you read this, then this one, and finally you'll read that at the end. So think about font sizes, think about placement of text on the screen. What does that do for your audience? Generally, we read from left to right and from the top to the bottom, at least in the English speaking world, or in the Western world in general. So here's just one example from a presentation I gave a while back in Copenhagen, where I start with this. So I start first of all with the title, quite big, and sort of at the top, somewhere at the top. This is about a story about nutrition interventions in Kenya. We wanted to think about whether we should intervene or whether groups should be interested in intervening by planting mango and avocado to affect nutrition outcomes on the farm level. So I'm going to start on the left-hand side. Again, we read sort of from left to right. So I'm going to start on the left. And I'm going to give the first impression, which is we worked with experts and they helped us to build a model. So that's one of the main things I want to say on the slide. And the next thing I want to say is that the model included aspects of farm production and how that was affected by management and how households' composition affected those management styles, and that production and household content, so who was in the household, affects the dietary intake, so what do people produce and what do they eat? And then this can ultimately lead to a nutrient gap. This is a model that we designed as a Bayesian network. And then, so again, more or less moving from left to right in sort of a logical flow of argumentation. And then I end the story with the main take-home message on this particular slide. So then I say at the very end, production management and household consumption factors do influence dietary intake and affect consequent nutrient gaps. So depending on what's being produced can affect how much people have to eat and how well they are in terms of nutrition. What I've provided here on the lower left is some citations, and these are in a detailed enough format so that someone should be able to find that resource. So I've given here the names of the authors, the year, and the place of publication, either a journal with the issue, volume and issue, or the conference, etc., like this, or the database. So that's an example of a slide format that you might use. But of course, as I said, your style, you can use your own style, but make sure people can read it, make sure it flows more or less logically, and that you're making the best use of your space to present the idea that you want us to know about. That's it on giving presentations. Thanks very much for looking at this resource, and do feel free to get in touch if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. And I look forward to seeing your presentation soon.